Good. Yeah.
My name is Ken Lendit. I play on the 4-0 Dirt Ballers.
Really?
Because it's play cards. Okay.
I'm in marketing and branding. I did not pick the
You
name.
did not take the name. Exactly. Good.
I live in Wilton, and what I'd like to be able to do is not choke on that one shot that always dogs me. So for me, it's my backhand. So it's great, you know, take a lesson with you, I'll hit amazing backhands, get into a competition, and the backhand is nowhere to be found. I would love to not choke on the shot that dogs me.
I'm Wendy Harris. I play on a 4-0 team now. I'll be co-captaining the 4-5 team this summer. I'm from Weston. I think kind of like what Tracy said, we tend to play free, we play great the first set, and often we're playing against players that we feel we're much stronger than. And the next thing you know, they start getting balls back, and the next thing you know, you start putting balls off the court, and it's trying to not let that player that you know you can beat you.
Okay, this is great because now you put it into context as far as kind of what our primary issues are that we're going to focus on. So the first thing is you want to keep the end in mind. So before you walk on the court, you want to know what your goal is. And everyone's goal is going to be different, but if you're playing doubles with a partner, you want to be on the same page with your partner as far as what your goals are, and be honest with your partner as far as what your goals are. So goals can be a lot of different things. It could be, I really want to win. I want to practice the shots I'm learning in clinics or my privates. I want to avoid the shots I'm learning in my clinics or my privates. I want to compete well, and if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I want our team to go to districts. I want to be relied upon to close out the match for our team. I don't want to be relied upon to close out the match for the team. So notice how none of those are wrong or right. There are no wrong or right answers. But you have to know the answer yourself. So the first thing is you have to know what the goal is before you walk on the court. And if you don't have one, come up with one. So for me, it would be play to the best of my ability, no matter what the circumstance. And if that leads to victory, then great. And if the other team or person is too good, then that's fine as well. So, and then the second thing I'd say is have a goal and then stick to it. There's no changing the goal midway based on the circumstance. So if you go in saying, you know what, I want to just do my best and I don't care about winning, and all of a sudden you look up in the window and the captain says, you know, this match is going to determine the outcome. And now all of a sudden it's like, now you can't switch the goal to that you're going to win, because that wasn't what you prepared for. So it's okay, stick to what your goal was. So now that we kind of know, kind of like, okay, that's kind of what we're approaching it as. Mental toughness, by definition, is performing to your ability under pressure or adverse circumstances. But it's interesting because tennis players treat practice and competition as two opposite things. Practice, they talk with their friends, they buy the water cooler, time doesn't really matter as much, the intensity is kind of like loose and friendly and not that nervous or tight. Whatever the score is whatever the score is, it doesn't matter. The ball is slightly out, you still play it, okay? But then all of a sudden, as a tennis player, you get to competition, dun dun, everything changes. That ball was out. Yes, it was out. You're circling marks. You're looking at the time. You're 30 seconds late. According to Rule 56.52, we win the first game. You know. So what you want to do is you want to practice the way that you're going to compete. So in martial arts, there's no tournament or word practice. It's one word, and that word is practice. But a tournament or match is just practice under different pressures and circumstances but it's still practice because you're still learning. So the big thing there is if you can go in saying, this competition, my goal is to learn, but learn under a different context. It takes the weight right off your shoulders, because now you're not focused on the result, you're focused on what you can control, which is you absorbing something and learning something and coming away with something that then the next time you could be a little bit better at. So if you really put that under perspective and say, okay, it's just practice. It's all just practice, whether it's a tournament match, whether it's districts, or whether it's my Monday morning clinic with my friends. It's all just practice. Now, of course, everyone puts their game face on in tournaments and matches. I'm not saying if you're completely loosey-goosey and the social butterfly that you have to do that in a match. I'm not saying that. But I'm just trying to help you put that in perspective, because ultimately, we're our own worst enemy when it comes to mental toughness, because it's our mind that's winning or losing, nothing to do with anybody else, our partner or our opponents, even though sometimes we like to believe that. So there was a quote from Michael Jordan, and he is basketball's most accomplished player, and he said that he's missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. He's lost almost 300 games, and 26 times the ball was in his hands to win or lose it, and he lost the competition. And yet he's failed over and over, but that's why he succeeds, is because he has failed. So ultimately, if you look at failure as a stepping stone to the biggest success that you've had to date, and you haven't had it yet, then you can deal with it a lot better. So what I'm saying there is, if you have a tough third set loss, the match came down to you and your partner, and you didn't come through, the next time you want to say, when I'm in that circumstance, I know what it feels like, and I'm going to do something different to try to have a different result. So, not to talk about myself, but I just want to put it into context. My brother and I tried to set this world record to honor a deceased colleague of ours that had passed away of ALS. He was 42 years old. He was our tennis mentor. And so to honor his legacy, we said, let's try to break the record for the world's longest rally. And it was 24,696 strokes without missing was the record that was in place. So that takes a lot of mental toughness and probably a little bit of craziness to even go out and attempt it. But we said we're gonna go do it. So we practiced for about a year getting ready for it. And we started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And after 2 hours, my brother misses in the bottom of the net. So we take a quick break. And I said to my brother, it had to be the bottom of the net, couldn't be the net court. And we go back on the court, and so now we're starting from zero, but it feels like we're starting from like minus 2,000 because we did 2,000 shots that now don't count. So we proceed to rally from about 6:30 p.m. to 5:09 a.m. straight. And then I was kind of falling asleep on my feet, and I didn't really judge the bounce of the ball well, and so I kind of reached for a ball, and I didn't hit it squarely, and hit the top of the net. But I told my brother, at least I got the top of the net. So that was 19,490 shots later, and we were a little bummed out. So in dealing with that, in dealing with those two failures, so we had two failures. We had one at 2,500 and one at 19,490.
He knows that number.
To turn a negative into a positive, my brother was really distraught, and I said, you know what? Look at the bright side. We have the U.S. record. And the U.S. record at the time was like 17,000 something. And the world record, 24,696, was from two gentlemen in Europe. So I said, that's great. So we went to the International Tennis Hall of Fame. We had the ball. It was like no fuzz on it. And said, we would like to donate this and some of our other things. And like, great, we could put that maybe in the USTA wing, but if you want to be in the international ITF section, you have to hold the world record. So, we took that as a challenge. So we said, you know what, we're going to try to do this again next year. And by the way, the moment that we missed, right away we said, we're going to do this again a year from now, and we're going to do it right. So the learning that we had was we need better preparation. We got to start in the morning, not at 4 p.m. And the second thing is we said we are not going to eat or drink too much, and if we drink, we're going to wear camelbacks, because what we did the first year was like lob and run over and drink and like lob 5 times, and it was really stressful. So what we did was we started with a serve, and then we played out the point. We wanted to make it look like a real point. And so we rallied for 14 hours and 31 minutes straight without a break and without missing, 25,944 shots. And nobody missed. I let the ball pass on purpose at a minute past midnight because we are identical twins and we wanted to have the exact number of strokes. So in any event, I share that with you just to put in perspective that I really believe that if we didn't fail the first time, we would not have had the motivation to succeed. We just wouldn't have been there. It wouldn't have been there. But ultimately we had this burning desire to actually do this. And by failing, what did we do? We went and we retweaked the game plan rather than just throw the whole game plan out with the bathwater. And so for those of you that have played USTA and are disenchanted and are not playing, or are intimidated about playing and that sort of thing, I would just say if you look at it with a different perspective and a different set of glasses, that the outcome will be different for you. So every time you fail in tennis, what I challenge you to do is say, what is this going to inspire or motivate me to do to accomplish the next time around? So if you're a 3-0, it's, hey, you know, I'm going to make it to a 3-5. If it's helping your team get to districts or sectionals or nationals, whatever it might be. If it's you're playing number 3 doubles and you want to really play number 1, or you want to be a singles player for the team. But have something in there that's going to inspire you, and then when you take your lessons and clinics, build them around what that goal is. Okay, so Yvonne Lendl has said, I believe the brain is like a muscle, and like anything, it needs to be improved, but we need to work on that. So I mentioned that in the beginning, that it's great that all of you are here because now you're taking your mental game seriously and you're really trying to take it to the next level. I'm going to go into 3 things that, 3 circumstances that I see are the most common circumstances in tennis, and we're going to deal with them. And a lot of them were said in the introduction questions. So think of it like a stoplight, so keep it simple. So there's red light, yellow light, and green light in tennis. Okay, those are the circumstances, and then there's the changeover. And all 4 are handled differently. So with green light, it's the 4 R's, which is basically respond, recover, refocus, and ready, or get ready. So the first thing about green light and response is most people think that if they make a mistake in tennis that they're not allowed to show any negative emotion, and if they do, they're not mentally tough. That's not true. You have to have an outlet. It has to get out of your system somehow. You can't keep it bottled in, because then it's going to create a lot of pressure, and eventually you're not going to play the way you want. Now, what I'm not saying is you miss a shot and all of a sudden, you're using the F-bombs and you're, slamming your racket around, okay? But it's putting it into context. So I'm going to do a very brief role play about green light situations in tennis. By definition, a green light situation is when you have a lead and or you just won a point. So you have a lead, we'll say you're up 5-3, you are up 30-love, and you have a short ball at the net, okay? So you have a short ball at the net, you come up to the net, you put away the short ball, and so now you're up, you immediately put your racket in your non-dominant hand. Take it out of this hand, okay? Because if you've lost that point, then it might throw it or something. And turn around, and now walk back, and what you want to do now is think about how you just won that point. So basically this is part of your recovery. Okay, I attacked the net on a short ball, I hit it to the open court with my forehand. Okay, let me continue to do that. Or in doubles, I served and volleyed, and therefore I was successful. The refocus is usually the towel. So I'm going to get a towel over here, and you don't have to have. There are no towels. You don't have to have a towel, especially with these courts, because they get dirty. But a towel is a great thing to have. So in college, I always had a towel by the fence, and it wasn't because I was sweating. It was because that was my mental toughness. That was where I went to figure out what I was doing wrong when I was doing something wrong, or to encourage myself when I was doing something right. So you turn around, you go back to the back fence, and if you don't have a towel, that's fine. But what you need to do is look at your strings, look at your racket, fix your strings if you want. If you watch on TV in any of the pro matches, the pro tennis players really are not fixing anything. They're just kind of looking at their strings. So when you hold your racket, you want to keep your shoulders up. They did a study that if you sit like this, upright, kind of like ta-da, the Superman pose, and you do that for 30 seconds, these like hormones in your body kick in, and all of a sudden you're more confident. You're a more confident person. And yet opposite, and it's called the Wonder Woman pose, you know, for ladies. But the opposite is if you are shrugging your shoulders like this for 30 seconds, then actually you feel defeated, and another protection mechanism hormone, I'm not a biologist, kicks in, and you actually think and feel negative thoughts. You become more sensitive to distractions. And basically, everything goes downhill from there, okay? So, I don't want to be hokey, but it's true. It works. So that's why Djokovic actually does the strut. Right, Djokovic? Right, Andy Roddick? Okay, now am I saying you have to strut between points? No, I'm not saying that. It has to fit your own character and personality. But it has to, I would probably say somewhere in between a strut and a slouch is probably where you want to be. Okay, everyone's going to be different. The Bryan brothers do the chest bumps and all that, okay? But if we were out there doing chest bumps, people would think we're absolutely crazy, right? So I'm not saying that. Put it into context. So what you want to do is yellow light. Now we'll go to yellow light. Yellow light is you're down 2-4. You're down 15-40. And you just flub an easy overhead. So there's the easy overhead, and then boom! And then, I can't believe that. And then what you do is you do it again, and then you miss that one too in your mind. And then you're so upset, and you now have lost complete focus. So we're going to replay that. And same score, you're at the net, there's the overhead, I missed the easy overhead. You try not to react. You turn, you breathe, and you keep your shoulders up. You immediately put your racket in your non-dominant hand, very important, because now you can relax this hand, because keeping it in here is going to keep you tight, because you got to hold the racket. So you got to get into the other hand, relax, shake it off. Psychologically, if you just kind of shake it off, you're shaking off the last point. Vacate that spot. Unfortunately, people don't vacate the spot. What do? They take practice swings. I missed that one. I can't get hit. And so you're absorbing the error, and what you end up doing is you're reliving the error over and over in your head. And then the next serve, you're still thinking about that because you practice missing so many times. So what you want to do is immediately racket into left hand, or your opposite hand. Now you can shake it off. You come back here. Now this is where, if you do have a towel, use it. So, see, erase, replace. 3 important words. See your error. See it, because you got to accept it. You want to ignore it. See it, and then erase it. So you can also call it, some people call it whiteboarding it. So you see a whiteboard. Or exit out in your mind and throw it aside. And replace it with you making the shot. So see, erase, replace. See, erase, replace in your mind with you making the shot. And if you're going to practice the darn thing, practice it back there in the comfort of your own living room. You know, that's your safety zone, is back at the tarp. You're not seeing your opponents. You don't see their facial reactions. You don't even see your partner in case they're, you know, a little negative and haven't taken this class and they're like getting upset. You know, so now that's yellow light. Now red light. Red light. Can anyone tell me what the score would be in a red light circumstance? Take a wild guess. Love 40, good, Tracy. And what would be the set score? Love 5, beautiful. Ooh, that's a tough one, Molly. So love 5, love 40. Love 5, love 40, definitely red light. Basically, whatever you're doing is not working. Okay? So now I'm up to the net. I flub the easy volley at love 40. Boom, into the net. Again, immediately rack it into the left hand so you don't hurt anyone with it. You turn, and you're walking back again with your shoulders up. So it's not down here, it's up here. And it's deliberate walking, not fast walking. Okay? So because pacing is nervous and nervous energy. So you turn, deliberate walk, and now you're going to your towel. And I use this as just kind of like the towel, you know, but it could be the headband like Glendale, you know. So you're back here, you're doing your thing, and you're thinking, and you're keeping the racket up. Try not to keep the racket down here, because even if you're doing something positive, like fixing your strings, if you're looking downward, again, those hormones are going to kick in, and you're going to feel weak and not strong. So you want to keep the racket up at head level is key. So keep the racket up at head level when you're walking here and you're thinking about the red light scenario, okay? So you're going to say, okay, what the heck just happened? And I have 2 options, but what am I actually going to do? And usually one option is negative and one option is the right thing. So for example, I'm gonna quick serve the person, you know, right now. I'm gonna try to get this set over with as quick as possible. It's usually something negative. Something more intelligent would be go to your partner and say, you know what, I'm really gonna concentrate on putting this serve down the tee, but I want you to help me out here, poach on it. Just go ahead and poach. So that is more of a productive way now to handle it. So that's red light, is you're doing thought stopping. You're stopping play. You're not pausing. Yellow is more of a pause. Green is in your zone and your flow. So green, you're saying this is working. It's going well. More of the same. Yellow is caution. And then red is, okay, stop. And almost rewind and say, what should I be doing here? The breathing, there's a lot of different studies on breathing, and I'm not going to go through all of them now. But how many people do some type of yoga, by show of hands? Some type of yoga. Great. So you're probably better at breathing than I am. Okay, so I'm not going to try to teach you on breathing. But I'll just share a couple of thoughts with you, just from my own observations. Is number 1, a lot of us mention being nervous. The faster that you exhale, the more you become nervous, because you end up hyperventilating. So you're getting carbon monoxide, CO2, and not enough oxygen. Okay, so you hyperventilate. So when you see those basketball players come up to the line and go, that's actually not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to go in deep, and Djokovic does it through his nose, like that, and then you got to go slow out. Like 3 seconds at least, maybe longer. Slow out. So as a personal preference for me, I actually, it's hard to do, especially when you're nervous and you run around a lot, or it's a tense situation. It's very difficult to control your breathing. And one post-match interview with Serena Williams, she'd won the match, it was a tough match at the US Open, and they asked the announcer, said, so what's your best shot today, or what did you do best? And she said, you know what, my breathing. I mean, for Serena Williams, not to say your forehand or serve, to say breathing, you know that that's really important. So you're breathing. You got to be under control of your breathing. Don't let your breathing control you. So what I usually like to do is in through the mouth, so I get a lot of oxygen, and then slowly out through the nose, because now I'm slowly releasing it. Whereas if I open my mouth and I try to go like that, then I start to hyperventilate. That's a personal preference. I'm not going to tell you how to breathe. I'm just sharing with you some observations and some things. They also say that You have more capillaries in your nose than your mouth, so if you breathe in through your mouth, then more oxygen gets to your bloodstream, and if you breathe out, then more CO2 doesn't hit your capillaries, and then therefore doesn't get trapped inside. Okay, I don't want to get too crazy with that, but in any event, just find a way that when you're nervous, you're taking a deep breath to get a lot of oxygen in, however you want to take it in, and then you're slowly releasing it however you want to release it, okay? But you have to try to do that. So when I used to play, I should try 3 breaths. That was my goal. After a big long point or a really stressful point, 3. I tried to get 3. 1, and then so on. And try to get to 3. I'm telling you, really difficult. But you got to work on it, because if you don't work on it, then you're not going to get better. The red light, we talked about red light. So go back to your simple plan. Go back to a simple plan. So one of the things I talked to Serena's dad this weekend about was her keeping it simple. And I'm going to paraphrase kind of some of the things he said and what I think. Is Serena Williams has every shot in the book. She's the best female tennis player of all time. But the downside and the curse to be really good is that you have 1,000 options on every shot, and sometimes you pick the wrong one. So one of the things her coach worked on was, under pressure, keep it simple. So if you notice, when Serena plays, she goes side to side. I call it the Serena side to side. Side to side. I get the ball here, I put it there. No matter where the next ball goes, I'm going to put it over there. No matter where the next ball goes, I'm going to put it over there. So, in my opinion, the better you are as a player, the more shots you have, keep your strategy simpler. And if you're not as good of a player, or if you're playing up, you need to have more strategery. You need every advantage you can get. Okay? One of them being, so I'll address Tracy's point of playing up your 4-0 technically, and I put 4-0 in quotes. Your 4-0 playing 4-5. So how I would handle that is say, you know what, the pressure's on them. They're expected to win. If I even make it close, I've won. And guess what? Who's going to be nervous when it's a close match between a 4-0 and a 4-5 team? Who's going to be nervous?
They are.
The 4-5 team, because they're supposed to win. Expectation creates pressure, which creates nerves, which creates catastrophe. So what you want to do is now you want to manage your own expectations of yourself. And let me tell you this. Nobody can put expectations on you but you. Your doubles partner can't, your pro can't, your coach can't, your captain can't, only you can. So manage your own expectations. That goes back to what we said in the beginning about what your goal is. Why are you there today? Why are you playing? I'm playing because I want to work on my topspin forehand today. In today's match, I'm going to do it because this is just practice. That's what Angelo said at some Hopi workshop. That martial art word is just practice. But no, so you got the forehand, that's what I want to work on. Are you working on your forehand? If you are, then you're being successful, you're learning in the match. But if all of a sudden you get the iron arm, and then you start bunting everything back because the match is close, then you're not sticking what your game plan and goal was. Okay. So, and then the final thing I'll address there is playing free when you're down. Some people call it playing more aggressively. Whatever you call it, when you're down or you're red light, there's no pressure. So kind of like you're at a stoplight in a car, there's no pressure, right? It doesn't take much thinking just to sit there, right? It's much more difficult to be driving. So interesting, I asked the juniors, the 12 and under kids in the clinic I had on Monday, we talked about red light, green light, and yellow light. And so I said, you know, when your parents are driving to see a green light, they go through it. That's okay, but what if your parents see a red light? And they all go, they accelerate. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm not your driving instructor, but don't do that, that's unsafe. So I said that maybe that's a bad example, but when it's yellow, you gotta be cautious and slow down, right? Because you gotta stop at some point, and then red light, you're at the stopping point. So you wanna play free when you're down, and when you're up, you wanna use your brain. Okay? So you want to like be more relaxed and loose when you're down, and when you're up, you're playing chess. Okay? When you're down, you're playing like checkers. But when you're up, you're playing chess. Why? Because since you're up, you have to play percentage tennis so that you then more likely will have a favorable result. And if any of you watch the UConn men and women play, you can learn a lot from the commentators, right? So the women were up like 21 points, you know, layup after layup or whatever, they're up 21 points. And at that moment, the announcer said, there's only 2.5 minutes left. If both teams trade baskets, UConn wins, right? What does that mean? If UConn plays smart, doesn't play outside of themselves or do anything crazy, but plays within themselves, they're gonna win if they trade baskets. The mistake we make as tennis players when we're up 5-0 is we get greedy. We're up 5-0 and we said, okay, I want 6-0, 6-0, come on, let's go. I want 6-0, 6-0. No, because 6-0, 6-0 is perfect and there's nothing perfect. When you're up 5-0, you want to say, we're just going to trade games back and forth. Trade games, because guess what? I'm going to win. I'm going to win if we play the same. I'm going to win. But what do people do when they're up? I have nothing to lose. I'm up 5-0. It's bogus. You have the lead to lose. Okay? So that's just a misnomer. You're up 5-0, have nothing to lose. I hear that a lot. Up 5-0, let me now go for my shots. Let me go for my shots now, because I have no pressure. No, you do have the pressure, because now you have the expectation that you should win this match because you're up 5-0. So what you want to do is, you want to play smart now. You want to go to your partner if you're playing doubles, and you say, you know what? Everything down the middle. Everything down the middle, because the middle solves the riddle. Whoever defends the middle in doubles will win, and whoever wins the middle will win. So it's a proven fact in doubles. If you count how many points won in the middle, the team that wins more points down the middle will win the match. Okay? Angle is for flair. So that's doubles. Singles is balls in play. Whoever can keep more balls in play will win in singles. Unless you're out of shape and you fear that you can't finish the match, in which case, then grip it and rip it and hope for the best, okay? So those are some things as far as singles and doubles, but you got to keep it in perspective as far as what you're doing and how you're playing, whether you're up or whether you're down. Because some people said closing it out versus being down. So just to review there, freely, loose when you're down. You have nothing to lose because you're going to lose anyways if you play the same way. And when you're up, you have everything to lose. You have the lead to lose. Talk to your partner and communicate more when you're up. Slow it down, but I put a caution there. Because people say, you know, usually people play better when they go faster, and they play, you know, when they speed it up, and when they slow it down is when they're down usually. That's not the same for everyone. The research shows that the variance there is not a lot. So what I would just say is do what comes naturally to you. If you're naturally a quick server, if you naturally just bounce the ball once or twice before your serve, then do more of that. But don't become a Djokovic where you're bouncing it 24 times if you never do that. Like playing the clock. You know, you don't want to play the clock, you want to just play your game. So, and just to reiterate on percentage tennis, keeping the ball 3 feet inside the lines. And a great drill to work on is if you, in your mind, can draw the lines in singles and doubles, and they're 3 feet inside where the normal lines are, you will be a very successful tennis player. Because that's how you close out matches. When you're winning, shrink the court. When you're losing, expand the court, because when you're losing, you're going to have to get those passing shots. You're going to have to go for the line. You're going to have to take a little more risk. Your lobs are going to have to be a little deeper and higher. But when you're ahead, shrink the court mentally by 3 feet, singles or doubles, and you will be very successful. Now the changeover. The changeover has its whole ritual and routine. Nadal goes a little overboard in my opinion. He has his powdered drink, the red drink, and he's got the water, and the cap has got to be on. They've got to be in the same exact thing. But studies show that if you control more elements in the match, then you actually will start controlling the match in your favor. So that's why Nadal has so many rituals. That's why Sharapova has so many rituals. Even Roger Federer has rituals. His are not as obvious. Because the more things that you can control, then the more things are going to go your way, because you can actually then control the things that are on the periphery. So remember that if we're focusing on the outcome in tennis and not the process, we're focusing on the wrong thing. So the outcome, although we have indirect influence on it, we have zero control of the result. Even though as competitors, our ego tells us, well, yeah, sure, I can control the result. If I hit my big serve, if I hit my forehand, we're going to win. But that's not necessarily the case. Your forehand could be a little bit off. Your serve could be a little bit off. They could like pace, and they like your ball, and all of a sudden your good ball is not that good. And then when you hit the dinky shot, they can't handle it, right? So you can only control your effort, your attitude, your fortitude, your positive energy. Those are things you can control. In doubles, your communication with your partner, or lack thereof. But you can't control the result. So the more that you can play in the moment, playing with the process, focus on the process and not the result, the more successful you will be, and then the better results you will ultimately get. So there's 3 R's on the changeover. There's recover, refocus, and recommit. So recover is 99% of the players out there on changeovers sit down. There's a small percent that stay standing because they feel like the legs are going to cramp or whatever. That's fine. I'm not going to dissuade you. I'm not going to say sit down or stand up. Do what is comfortable for you. But I will say that it does take more energy to stand on the changeovers than it does to sit. So if you do choose to sit, then make sure to recover, relax, and breathe like we were talking about, those 3 deep breaths and letting the air out slowly. You want to do that definitely on the changeover because you have more time to do it than during the points. You have more than 20 seconds. Refocus. Now refocus on what you're doing. So if you're playing doubles and you're down, then make sure that you talk to your partner and say, hey, you know, let's laugh this off and let's come back. Let's have fun with this. This is fun. This is great. Isn't this great? We're competing. We could go to sectionals. This is awesome. Let's keep doing it. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. You know, this is great. Like, live for the battle. Live for the battle. This is so awesome. This is great. That Nadal-Federer Wimbledon 5-set amazing match. I mean, I won in Federer, but Nadal squeaked it out that time. But what an amazing match that was. That was just a joy to watch. Absolutely amazing. And both athletes playing at the top of their game. I can tell you right now, there was no loser that day. There were 2 winners. Just one person got a bigger paycheck at the end. So, and then recommit. So it's like you got the refocus, okay, we're up, we're going to play percentage tennis, we're going to play 3 feet with inside the lines, we're down, let it rip a little bit, and then recommit. Okay, that's what we're going to commit. Let's make sure we stick with that. Let's make sure to remind ourselves of the goal that we started in the beginning, which was, hey, we're going to have fun with this, we're going to do our best, give our best effort, and see whatever happens. Okay. Pre-match visualization. So someone said about like going onto the court and all of a sudden you're nervous. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. If you care at all about tennis, when you go on to a match, you will be nervous. Deal with it. It's not that you don't want to have nerves, it's how you're going to handle the nerves that you have. Now, do you want to be so nervous that you actually, throw up, kind of thing? No. hopefully not. That does happen to athletes and things like that, or singers or whatever, but ultimately you want to control your nerves in a way that the nervousness makes you be alert, it makes you take it seriously, and it makes you focus better. So embrace your nerves. Because I tell you right now, if you embrace your nerves, then after a couple of shots, now you've found your flow. Because you got your feet moving, you're focused. But I tell you right now, if you don't care at all, right? If you didn't care at all, if someone stumbled onto the court during a college match, thought it was practice, and it ended up being like the most important match, and they're just fooling around, and then someone says, this is serious, this counts. You can't all of a sudden change it. Now all of a sudden you're in your ready position, in your zone, your focus. It doesn't happen that way. So the nerves help you get into that state of focus. And you just want to be able to control your breathing. So I found that if you're out of breath, like we talked about before, you become more nervous. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend like running up and down stairs or running around before your match. Now I know a lot of people do that. What I'm saying is people do it too close to the starting point. You want to do it a half hour before, sweat through your clothing, and then put a new set of tennis gigs on. That's what you want to do. You want to put a new dress on and a new tennis shirt on. Because if you don't, you're not ready. So you want to sweat out your shirt, and then somewhere else, hopefully not at the venue, but if it's at the venue, it's at the venue, and then get changed if you want, shower or whatever, and then get into the next one. See, erase, and replace, we talked about that before, is before the match, start to visualize, okay, I'm going to serve out wide, I'm going to serve down the center. Visualize yourself competing. Now, there's three ways to do it. There's you actually seeing yourself in your mind as if there's a camera on you. You actually being yourself, like you just see what's in front of you, you don't see you. Or you visualizing Roger Federer play. Right? I'm serious. So some people play really well when they imagine themselves as someone that is a really good tennis player, like a pro tennis player that they really like, and they're that person. Some people play really well that way. Some people play really well just yourself, right? But you gotta find one of those two and see which one is better. So experiment in a match with the visualization of, are you visualizing someone else or are you visualizing yourself? And then at the end of the match, reflect on it with your partner or your coach. Now the thing is this, if you're not in a mental state of acceptance, don't talk to anybody. Okay? So in other words, if after the end of the match you're really emotional, really upset for some reason, get out of Dodge, go in the bathroom, take a shower, and just let all those negative thoughts leave you, because what's going to happen is you're going to then end up feeling like you have to make excuses for what just happened if someone said, what just happened? So you want to, and now if you're okay with the result or how your emotions are right after the match, then yes, get the feedback. You want it right away because you want to reflect on it for the next time because it's now fresh in your head. But I would just caution you on not doing it too quickly if it was an emotional result. There's something called centering, and I talked about it a little bit, but this is 3/3 your body height, 3/3 like this. You don't want to get ready for a point 3/3 your height. So you want to be in the athletic position of 2/3 your height. So you're down here and you're moving in some manner. Usually this is best done on the return of serve. So on the return of serve, you want to get engaged as soon as possible. So someone mentioned earlier about distractions that the other person has messes up your game. And one of them is those fast players, those fast servers. They get the ball and quick serve, and you're not even ready. You're like, come on, I'm not even ready. I'm not even getting the ball. You know, sometimes they do it on purpose. It's gamesmanship. Sometimes that's the way they play. That's their serving style. And they'll certainly remind you that you play at server's pace. So the solution for that is don't turn around. Okay? So what you do is this. There's the fence. You get into your ready position there, 2/3 your height. You're now ready, okay? and you back up a little bit, and as soon as you turn, you are ready to return that serve. And guess what? They're not allowed to serve with your back facing you, but they are if you're facing them. I'm not saying don't make that too dramatic. I don't want to say one next week. Hold on! Wait! There! No. So let's not get crazy now.
That works. So crazy.
But you do that a little bit. You do a little bit of that. You don't want to turn, because then if you turn, you show you're ready. So that's how you deal with someone that's playing too how you deal with someone that's playing too fast. How you deal with someone that plays too slowly is you can get ready soon, but I just caution you on getting ready too soon. You ever see in baseball? Batter, and the pitcher is not quite ready. Wait. I'm not ready yet. Okay, and you go into it, right? So when you get ready too soon, you can't do this forever. There's a law of diminishing returns there as far as being ready. So what you want to do in doubles is bring your partner to you, facing away from you. Molly, come on up here. You're my partner. Stand right here, but face that way. So when you're receiving serve in doubles, you have to have her face that way, otherwise it's obnoxious. Because it's server's pace. So Molly, we're not going to worry about them playing too slowly. We're going to be focused. Okay, they're ready. Go back over there. And see now you see that they're ready. I'm sorry. And you see that they're ready. You see that they're ready, and then you go right into it. Okay. Whereas when you're the server, you and your partner, your backs are facing the returners, or one up, one back. You see a lot. One checking out what they're doing and going like that and talking to the tennis ball and that sort of thing. But that's really important, because there's a distinct difference in doubles between what you do as far as your patterns on the return of serve and what you do when you're actually serving. Okay. I'm going to just go through a couple of negative thoughts really quickly. And we want to remove these. So one is pessimism. So you want to always be positive, live in the moment, be happy in playing with your partner, encourage your partner if you're playing doubles, encourage yourself if you're playing singles. Negative perfectionism. Those of us that want to be perfect, it's actually a curse. It's a negative thing because you can't always be perfect. The thing about tennis is this. Tennis is a little bit like the stock market. Just because you play more doesn't mean that you get like this as far as your ability. Some days you have it, some days you don't. It's just how you deal with it and accept it. Outcome only. You want to be process focused. If you learn nothing else from today, focus on the process. Let the outcome just happen. That's why when Federer or Nadal wins a big Grand Slam, they're so excited and shocked they fall on the ground. It's not because that's their routine. They've been so careful about controlling their expectation on the outcome and just on the process that they can't believe they actually won. And I can't believe it. Oh my God. And they cry and whatever, right? It's because they've been focusing so long on the process, they don't allow themselves to focus on the result. And the problem is, when you're close to the outcome, it's easy to do. So the closer you are to the outcome, more remind yourself to focus on the process. Kind of like someone said about winning the first set, then again, pretend the first set didn't happen and do it all over again, because what you just did worked. So then, see, erase, replace. Even on something positive. Because too much positivity gives you false expectations, and then you're overconfident and you're taking things for granted. So see, erase, replace. I see the first set, I'm going to erase the first set and replace it with a 0-0 score. But I'm going to cheat a little because I know what strategy worked that first set, so I'm going to do the same thing. Self-handicapping. Oh, I sprained my ankle last week. That's why I'm missing the shot. No, it's just my back or phony leg injury. No, just kidding. So I know. So there is, so the thing there, what you want to do is you want to forget those things. do not remember those things. Just like if you're watching yourself play and you have a limp, you're going to hit to the limp, right? You're going to hit to the backhand, the broken hand or whatever. But so if you remember that, now you have a crutch. And what do crutches do? They give yourself a handicap. So guess what? If you lose, you have a good excuse. So you really don't get in there and mix it in there. Forget about it. I used to have an injury right here, and 2 days before a tournament, I went to this sports medicine guru, and he said, you know what? Accept your injury. You have an injury here. It's going to be painful. I'm telling you right now, you're probably not going to do too much damage. So deal with it, right? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to deal with it. So in other words, when I was playing the match, I felt it, but I was okay with it because I had planned for it. But when you don't plan for it and then it happens, then it surprises you. Catastrophe. Remember, tennis is only a game. We're supposed to have fun. Nobody died. So if you lose, you lose. That's okay. If you tried your best and gave your best effort, that's all you can do. Let the outcome take care of themselves. Poor me, the victim. These lights are too low. The ceiling is too short. The darn, even though I've played under these lights 5 times a week, I should know where they are, but no, I want that as an excuse. Not an excuse. Deal with it. Hit around the lights. Hit around your environments. Nothing that's an excuse that sounds like an excuse of poor me. No poor me. Entitled, we should win. We were the champs last year. We should win. That has nothing to do with the match at hand. Stick to your game plan. Are you sticking to your game plan? Are you focusing on the process? Unrealistic. Unrealistic. Let's get these guys. Let's beat them 6-0, 6-0. I don't care that they last time beat us 2-1. Let's beat them 6-0, 6-0. You know, be realistic with your expectations, and again, it shouldn't be results oriented. It should be, let's make 80% of our first serves. Let's hit 80% of the balls down the middle. And then past or future thinking both can hurt you. Both living in the past and dwelling on the past. We talked about that. When you make that error and then you kind of redo it and you keep making the same error in your mind. You know, you dwell in the moment, you're absorbing all the errors. And then future thinking, you skip too far ahead to the result. Wow, wouldn't it be great if we won this match? My captain's going to be so proud. My parents. And then all of a sudden, you start losing and I go, shoot. And then you say, oh, they're not going to be as proud, and they're going to be upset, and then it's falling apart. So again, if you just avoid the future and past thinking and stay right in the present. There's a study that was done that if you say the word no negatively to your partner or yourself, so I'm going to see if I can do it. No! I'm not an actor, but you know, not no! Like that, no! Keep it positive, because if you keep it negative, it takes 13 positive things after that to get back to equilibrium. There's 13. So then what college players usually say is, I'll never say 13 positive things to myself. Then don't say no. In other words, then don't break your racket, don't be negative, whatever. Be disciplined with your thinking. So, and I talked about this a little bit. If you start to think about your grocery list, then your mind is wandering. Immediately catch yourself. Catch yourself, and then see it, erase it, or whiteboard it, and replace it with, okay, the task at hand, tennis. It happens a lot. And then you start thinking about things that think about things, and then you're like, how did I think about that? That's like when you're reading a book and you read the same page like 10 times. It's like because you're not staying like focused on the process. And then there's something called the 2 P's, which is productive and positive. So you don't want to be positive just to be positive with no action attached to it, but you don't want to be productive as far as doing action like running for the ball, but not be doing a positive manner. So if you put those 2 P's together, you'll be a pretty good tennis player. Is be positive, and then add productivity to the positiveness, and you'll actually perform well. One of the things is if you play outside in the districts, quote is, I hate the wind, I always have trouble in the wind. Why did it have to be windy, right? That's what you start thinking. So what you want to do is, it's okay to think that, we're human. But now you want to reframe it. So you want to say, you know what? Last time I played in the wind, and I lobbed too much, and the ball went out. Today, I'm going to not lob as much, because I remember that in the wind it didn't work. And I remember that when I tossed my ball too high, it went all over the place. It took me 12 times to serve, so I'm going to toss the ball lower. So now you've reframed it. You've said, okay, it's windy, deal with it, and get over it. Okay? So whenever you have a negative thought, don't beat yourself up that you have a negative thought. Even like Federer, the time he broke the racket against Djokovic a few years ago, he actually, after that, if you watch the video, he didn't get that negative after that. It was kind of amazing. It's like, okay, I made a mistake, okay, I'm on to the next thing. I'm human, it happens. So now you want to kind of put it all together. And there's the 3 R's when you put it all together. There's respond, relax, and refocus. Respond, relax, and refocus. So the response is, someone hits you in the arm, you say, ow, right? The response is the response, whatever the response is. So someone does something, you respond. Sometimes it's a little bit negative. I would just say, rather than remove all negative responses, because that might be difficult, just minimize them. So if something bad happens and you're slouching for 10 seconds, slouch for 1 second, something like that. In other words, if it happens, it happens, but be aware, and then go into relaxation, which is the breathing we talked about, with slow out and big in, so you get a lot of O2 and you kind of relax, and then refocus. It's like, okay, now I'm going to refocus on the task at hand, and then the 3 words we talked